Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Rachel Paul. I'm so happy to be here with you today. We are going to be talking about my top weight loss tips while working from home. So we're going to first talk about getting yourself organized. We're then going to talk about certain foods to eat. And last, we're going to talk about your mindset. Okay, so let's talk about my top weight loss tips while working from home. Tip 1 is to get yourself organized. Now, I recommend planning a time in your calendar so that you can create your grocery list so you're ready to go to the grocery store with all the foods that you need in mind. It might feel a little bit stressful, it might feel overwhelming at first to sit down and make a plan, but it will save you so much time and energy versus when you are in the moment, late at night, wanting to eat something for dinner and don't know what to make, don't know what's gonna fit into a healthy meal for you. So what I want you to do is plan an hour or an hour and a half on Friday or Saturday and create a list. Make a plan for the week, create what grocery lists you already have, look through your kitchen, the fridge, the freezer, the pantry, see what you have, see what you need to buy, and then make a plan to go to the grocery store later in the day on Saturday or on Sunday. All right, let's talk about tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to create a structure. Now, when I say structure, I specifically mean a structure for your higher carb foods because I am all about choosing foods that you want to eat in the moment. I really don't believe in creating such a specific plan for yourself that has no flexibility that you just may not be in the mood for when it gets to lunchtime or dinner time. I absolutely believe in flexibility, but what's really helpful here is creating that plan for your higher carb foods. So here's what I mean by that. Starches, fruits, dessert, and alcohol. These are the higher carb foods that are naturally in our diet that you do not have to cut out in order to lose weight. I just want you to think about which portions feel best in your body. So maybe it is a slice of toast with peanut butter for breakfast. Maybe it's an apple with nuts for a snack. The nuts help keep your blood sugar stable, right? Instead of just having the apple or just having the bread by itself. Dessert, of course we want to keep dessert in our lives, right? But what dessert and what portion feels best for your body? And then alcohol can totally fit as well. Just make a plan ahead of time. All right, let's talk about tip number 3. Tip number 3 is to keep your recipes simple. Now, I know you may see on Instagram, you may see on Pinterest, these elaborate food boards or meals which clearly have more than 20 ingredients and you must spend hundreds of dollars on groceries in order to prepare them, but that is just not necessary. I highly recommend finding recipes. We have over 1,600 recipes in my program Best Body. I recommend finding easy recipes that have 3, 4, 5 ingredients max. So here are 2 examples. I have 2 hard-boiled eggs in a single serving guacamole packet. That can be a quick breakfast or snack if that works for you. I have an easy salad here, which is a can of tuna, a serving of feta, a serving of pecans on a bed of greens with olive oil and a little bit of red wine vinegar and salt and pepper. And that's it. Okay, your meals can be simple and they can be very filling and wholesome. All right, let's talk about tip number 4. Tip number 4 is to create a schedule. Now, you might have heard that you should eat 6 small meals a day in order to boost your metabolism, but that is actually not true. It's actually better to create larger, more wholesome meals to keep you full for a number of hours. So I have a few examples here. I have an apple and a 1/4 cup of nuts. This will keep you full. The apple by itself, a carbohydrate by itself, I don't recommend eating that without a protein or fat food. So that's why we've paired it with the nuts. With our eggs and guacamole here, we have a good snack or breakfast that has that protein or fat that's again gonna keep you full for a few hours. I have a salad here with the can of tuna, the feta, and the pecans that we just saw from the last tip. Again, because it has that protein and fat and the fiber from the vegetables that's gonna keep you full for a number of hours. So instead of trying to eat just a bite here and there, I absolutely recommend filling your meals with a lot of protein and fat to keep you full. All right, let's talk about the next tip. Tip number 5 is to prep your ingredients for your meals 2 to 3 days in advance. Now, I am sure that this has happened to you, or maybe you've tried to prep a full meal in advance for the whole week, and by the time you get to Thursday or Friday, the meal is just so unappetizing, you don't want to eat it, right? And that is totally normal. What I recommend doing instead is prepping your specific ingredients as most as you can, and then assembling your foods into your meals as soon as when you're going to eat. So in practice, this means cutting up some vegetables, prepping some fats and proteins, like cutting up some cheese into small cubes, maybe for a bento box. I have some burger patties here. These are raw, but I could cook them for the next 2 to 3 days. And then when I'm ready to eat, I can then assemble. And this will keep your food fresh and really tasting its best. All right, let's talk about the next tip. Tip number 6 is to stock your kitchen with whole, real foods that are gonna last for a long time. Now, I'm a big believer in eating what you're feeling like in the moment, but what goes along with this is having foods in your kitchen that are gonna last a long time so that you have lots of options and you're not relying solely on the fresh produce in your kitchen, right? So if you can stock up on some cans of tuna, some cans of beans, those last for a long time. In your pantry, if you can have some big jars of nuts, those last for months. If you can stock up on these types of foods, you will really be set up for success. Another great option is frozen vegetables. Now, some people are kind of wary of frozen vegetables. They think that they don't have the same amount of nutrition as fresh, but that's actually not true. Frozen vegetables are picked at peak ripeness and they're frozen that way so that they are really able to maximize the nutrients in the produce. So getting some frozen broccoli, some frozen peppers, and keeping them in your freezer will give you more options when it's time to eat. All right, let's talk about the next tip. Tip number 7 is out of sight, out of mind. Now, this is a common strategy I would use before work at home was so popular, back when I was seeing clients one-on-one in a private setting. So a really good thing to do is to not be in front of the food all the time, because it's a subtle reminder to your brain that, oh, that food looks good. Oh, maybe I should eat, right? And we really want to remove all of those subtle cues. So if you are working from home, if you can physically turn your seat away from the kitchen, that just helps your brain from not having those subtle reminders to eat, right? Another good thing to do is to set up your kitchen so that it's not so tempting, right? So put the food away, clean up your kitchen. That will make you enjoy cooking even more when you're presented with a clean kitchen, right? So the 2 tips are to not sit facing the kitchen, try to sit away from the kitchen so that you're not constantly reminded about food, and then also to clean up your kitchen so it's a nice working and cooking environment. All right, let's talk about tip number 8. Tip number 8 is to prioritize how your body feels. Now, when I was on my weight loss journey in the beginning, I was really stressed out when I was eating unhealthy or bad food because it felt like I could never eat that food ever again. It felt that that food was not allowed. I was being so bad because this was a bad, not allowed food. But that is not true. Moderation is really the way to go. So I want you to prioritize how your body feels. So how does your body feel? Answer this question. How does your body feel if you eat a really large meal at McDonald's? You probably don't feel your best, right? But maybe if you, for a meal, just had a little bit of carrots and maybe a little bit of guac, you probably wouldn't feel that good either, right? That's not enough food. So a good way to handle the situation, because remember, all foods are allowed, no food is not allowed, is to make a combination of both, right? So if you can have some food from McDonald's, maybe a sandwich, a burger sandwich, and then maybe some carrots and guac, that can be a great way to be able to enjoy the McDonald's and keeping in mind that your body feeling its best is the most important thing. All right, let's talk about tip number 9. Tip number 9 is to get 8 hours of sleep per night. Now, here is the problem. When we are tired, our bodies can't tell the difference between hunger in order to stay awake versus actual hunger. So you just naturally end up overeating and you don't even realize it, which is such a bummer, right? And it's just no good to be tired. It affects all areas of our life. So I would really love for you to get 8 hours of sleep. So if you know you need to wake up at 7 a.m., go to bed at 10:30 so you can be asleep by 11 and get that 8 hours of sleep. If you need to be awake at 6 a.m., go to bed at 10 p.m., right? So you really get that 8 hours of sleep so you can make good decisions. Set an alarm on your phone so that you can get into bed and make sure you get that beauty sleep, right? All right, let's talk about tip number 10. Tip number 10 is to exercise to feel good. Now, it has been popular to say that you need to burn X calories for exercise because you ate X calories that day, or you ate extra cookies that day, so you should burn off X calories. And it just doesn't work that way. The research actually shows that thinking about exercise in this way is not helpful for weight loss. Now, exercise is very good for your overall health, right? It helps you sleep, it helps your mental health. So it's good that we do some kind of exercise, but it's not in a form of punishment. So you can take a walk, you can do a YouTube dance video. There are a lot of free things you can do online now, which is so great, right? So I would think about, what do you love to do for exercise? What do you feel great doing? What does your body love feeling? Pick that, do that, make sure it's an easy thing you can incorporate in your day, and then move on. Do not use exercise as a form of punishment. All right, friends, those are my top weight loss tips when working from home. I would love it if you would like this video, comment, then hit the subscribe button and ring that bell so you're notified of the next video, and I can't wait to see you next time.